Welcome back to the World Championship Series. Pig, I understand. I get it. I understand. Colaris is here. I get it. I get it. Colaris joins us, taking a break from commentary. I have some words from you very, very shortly. We are almost ready now for the winners match of Group E. It's going to be a great game between a Frenchman and Korean here. We can take a close look at the matches that are coming up because we had one now, match 3. We're looking at match number 4. We've just seen Snoot eliminated in the round of 32 on the hunt towards a position at the global finals. He's been shot down. We've lost the Team Liquid member, but a massive moment for Kells or Colaris.
Yeah, definitely. Him being able to be out Snoot here, I don't think anyone really anticipated that actually going on. And obviously Snoot, just saw him actually walk out the back. At the moment, he is devastated. And rightfully so. I mean, that is, as I said just at the very end of the commentary, that's almost his WCS potential road to BlizzCon now.
If we look at it in a different way as well, he's now, I think it's safe to say, given the #1 player outside of Korea to Bunny. He's just given it now, right?
Absolutely. I mean, Bunny is just, he's way up there, and now Snoot is temporarily, I mean, that's such a huge shot to his chances of winning. He's kind of got to make it happen outside of the WCS system now until Season 3. But on the other hand, we've got a big opportunity for PvZ to go up against the loser of our next match. And this is the winners match that is coming up. This is Lilbow, renowned for his Protoss versus Zerg, but not as experienced as someone like Hydra here, who's been a pro gamer since about 2005, 2006. He's been around the block, and especially in the last year, he has just started to soar. His performance, I think it was just in this year alone, he's had, I believe, 3 second places. He's just absolutely going crazy with his results.
What do you credit that to? I mean, you're a Zerg player, you've known his style, you've seen his games. Why is he playing so well this year?
I feel like there must be some sort of mental change which has happened with Hydra. He's gotten some sort of impetus, some sort of force behind him. He's moved to America. He's kind of moved out of, I guess, the stricter practice schedule. And maybe communicating with people like cats in the same house really gets your creative juices flowing. He just seems to be so happy playing the game, practicing hard. And Hydra's just been getting better and better. And I feel like even in his set against Snoot before, Snoot was maybe taking some slightly more efficient options, but as soon as there was that moment, he flicked his fingers, instantly went for the kill. And I think that's what's going to be interesting this series is Lilbow going to give him those opportunities? Is he going to be tight enough to really just go toe-to-toe and bring it through to that late game or that mid to late game?
Yeah, it's Lilbow's second performance in Premier League. He played at the start of last year, it was February the 22nd, if I remember correctly, the last time he played in Premier League. And he got put in a very difficult group. If, top of my head again, Baby Knight, Vortex, and 4GG spring to mind with the players that he played in, and that is a hard group. He's entered again for the second time. Very, very difficult, Colaris. We're going to bring the maps up in a second, but can Lilbow defeat Hydra on this stage?
I mean, I think he is pretty capable of the upset. We've heard a lot in the European scene about this Baguette Protoss coming along and how they've been able to refine this style of massive amounts of Stalkers, which they control actually brilliantly in these kind of games. And the thing is that Hydra is a very mid-game focused kind of Zerg that will be able to kind of greet that and meet it, but if it can continue on, if it gets critical mass Stalkers, anything can happen here for Lilbow.
It's going to be fun, but here are the maps here, Pig. I know you like to look at these very closely, especially with the Zerg player up there. What do you see from this?
I think it's a relatively good pool for actually Hydra. I think it's quite okay. Echo, the first map, is Lilbow's pick. It's a really good map for Protoss in that there's quite a few choke points. It's very, very easy to defend your 3 base. Right. So especially when you're facing a player like Hydra, what are you worried about? You're worried about big hordes of roaches, Hydras, Zerglings, exactly what Claris was saying. It's that mid game. And if he can just shut that down, really protect his 3rd base and get to that critical mass of Stalkers, then that's going to be something Lilbow's looking for. Moving on, of course, Coda map 2, very generic, middle of the road map, wouldn't really favor either side. But finally, map 3, if it goes that far, is Expedition Lost.
Yeah, very technical map. That's going to be fun.
Proxy hatcheries, you know, there's lots of weird builds and gold bases. Zergs really have been doing well on that map. Protoss players have been struggling.
All right, well, Colaris, Lilbow, top 16 at DreamHack in Tour. Just a few weeks back now, a month back or so. Second time in Premier League, really starting to get some results under his belt. Is there anything that you could potentially credit this to over the last years, or why didn't he have this 2 years ago? Why is it today?
I think if I recall back, the Challenger games that he had were very, very difficult, if I recall the opponents that he had in the previous seasons. So that's something that kind of hindered him along. I think a lot of people always saw that he had the potential, but unfortunately he ran up against really big names trying to go into those tournaments.
All right, well, let's take a closer look at the first map that this series is going to be played on. Have some stats on these maps as well. As we see right here, when it comes to playing Zerg versus Protoss, it's been played a lot. And these are stats that have been used in 2015 in Premier League and Challenger, slightly favoring Zerg here. Pig, 11 to 7. And as you mentioned, is a pretty decent map pool overall, starting map here for Hydra.
Yeah, I think it's relatively. I think it's a relatively small sample size there. You know, we are just looking at, we're relatively early in the year of WCS, but 11 to 7. You know, a bit of a Zerg favoring there. That being said, I think in this matchup, I think it might be a little bit favored towards Lilbow's play style. I think it'll play well into his heavy sentry style. Once you get to those mid-game armies clashing on this map, there's a lot of those areas where it can be hard to set up that flank that the Zerg player wants.
We know how Protoss play, right? And nowadays, Protoss versus Zerg, it's about, you know, the delicate balance of when you take that third base, when you take that third nexus. But this is all information that Hydra is well aware of. The nexus, when it's going to come down fast, he could get very aggressive. Is he equipped, and what is he equipped with to stop this blink play, this fast third base play, this heavy stalker type of armies we'll see out from Lilbow?
I think there's a lot of choices for Hydra, and I think we've seen Hydra diversify his mid-game play. We say, you know, he likes to swell a lot of Roaches, Lings, and Hydras, but he has a lot of different ways of doing that. And recently, we've seen a lot of upgraded Zergling play into Infestors, eventually into Ultralisks, enter the meta. I think this is a fantastic map for it, because if it's hard to push into their third, why not get some more tech options? Maybe go for the Speedlings, try to deny the third base going up in the first place, and then go from there. Lilbow, on the other hand, some Protossers have been trying to cheese on this map. Some are trying to just play very standard. I'm very curious to what Lilbow's thinking going into this, because from a Protoss perspective, it's an easy to get third, but other than that, very standard map. Maybe you just play it out in however you're comfortable.
So we have to be favoring Hydra here. I mean, it's Hydra.
Yeah, I think so. With the way he performed in Season 1, and also the fact that as much as we're saying, yes, he is this mid-game orientated Zerg, which sometimes if he doesn't get past the mid-game, or if he gets kind of trapped in the mid-game and he's not killing off his opponents there, he just kind of flat out dies because he just doesn't have the tech options available to him. It's still extremely powerful.
Is Hydra a contender for the championship, for the #1 this season?
It's funny because in Season 1 I said, nah, I don't think he's going to be. And then he got all the way to the final and I was like, damn, I'm going to have to eat my words here. So I'm not going to make the same mistake again. I'm going to say, yeah, actually, he probably is.
All right, last thing here before we go to the commentator's pig. What is the key to success here for Lilbow?
I think Lilbow just needs to stay focused, calm. He's a player who grinds more than almost any other player. He's the Protoss Petraeus, so to speak. He plays so many games. His mechanics are so good. He needs to play confidently, stay focused, and I think he can go toe-to-toe with Hydra.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's time to prepare ourselves for the fourth match of the day. Which player is going through in third place? We'll find out, and it's going to be with Todd and Rotterdam.
Thank you very much, gentlemen at the desk. We are very excited for our upcoming match. Protoss versus Zerg, the winner bracket. The winner will advance to the round of 16. The loser is going to have to go up against Calazur. Johan, we are going to cast one of your very dear French Protoss players, the French PvZ. We have been talking about it for a long time in the European style. If somebody is still unfamiliar with this, talk to us about the French PvZ.
Well, the French PvZ is very simple, actually. You get a lot of sentries, you take a third base, and then you decide whether you want to in or if you want to sit back and scout with a lot of hallucinated phoenixes. The thing is, with the Swarm Host patch, things have kind of changed. You know, against Swarm Host, you had a lot of room to move around, like recall, use War Prisms, whereas now it's a lot more dynamic. You are going to have to face a lot of Roach, Hydra compositions, and basically you need to be a lot more on point here as Protoss. There is no room for mistakes. You're going to need to be very consistent with a lot of those things. And Lilbow, he claims that he's still really, really good against Zerg in the current patch. I can't say the same about myself. I think you've watched my stream, and He does not. Yeah, we were just talking about one of my games, actually.
You know, it's really funny because I watched a YouTube video made by the other very strong French Protoss, and I'm not talking about you, Todd. I'm talking about Tidrogo, and he made a very cool video that's on YouTube. It's a tutorial about how to play the French PvZ. And what you just said, that's basically what he said. He's like, well, it's all about making a lot of sentries. And you know, it all looks so easy when these guys do it. Lilbow and Tidrogo, they're so good at it. And it's a style that if you look at it, you might think like, ah, man, Protoss is so lame. But it's actually so hard to execute because every single time I do it, well, somehow I have no units and my opponents have a lot of units. And I do think that Lilbow is going to have to be very careful because this guy, spawning on the right bottom side of Echo, he's a Zerg that produces more than your average Zerg. He's representing Root Gaming. It is Hydra.
And his opponents playing as the blue Protoss and representing the baguettes all around the world. It is Millennium's Lilbow. It's very interesting to me how confident he is against Zerg. I spoke a bunch with him and he really is telling me that basically, well, he's just really good in the matchup and he even thinks he's going to win.
Look at this. I did not expect this at all. After Hydra opened up hatch into pool 3 games in a row in his first series of the day, very macro-oriented, he's going to switch things up over here on Echo, opening up with a 9 pool in game number 1. Doesn't Lilbow open up with a gateway the majority of the time, Todd?
It really depends. I think gateway into Nexus has been the trend a lot. But yeah, Lilbow is one of the guys that has been doing gateway gas a whole bunch against which I don't think it's very good to do this here from Hydra. But by the look of things, I don't think this is going to be a gas here by Lilbow. And even if you get the gate here, the thing is if you go for Nexus 17, then you might be supply block when the links get there. But now going for a scout, that's going to be great for him because he's going to be able to see what he's up against. You know, I asked Hydra.
He's taking the gas as well?
Yeah, the thing is, like, no matter if he gets those guys or not, like, scouting now is going to allow him to get the pylon that he needs anyway to keep on making zealots and probes and be in a good economic position. I asked Hydra before the game how he thinks he's going to go and what about the score. And he told me, I'm going to win 2-1 if he's lucky with builds. Maybe that's what he meant.
Yes.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, because I'm going to roll the dice in game number 1. Lilbow scouts over here, sees 4 to 6 Zerglings on its way immediately. And from this point on, as a Protoss player, you're like, all right, any plans I had on the super quick Nexus, they're out of the window. I'm just going to drop the Cybercore at home. I'm just going to Chrono Boost out probes. I have a Zealot. And as soon as I have my Mothership Core, I should be fine. There is no extractor behind this. As a Protoss, you would love to know this. And look at Lilbow, he's keeping this probe around.
Yeah.
Of course, to see how many Zerglings will truly stream across the map. But if he would be able to see that there is no gas behind this, that would be an absolutely phenomenal scout. But that's something that's very hard to identify.
I think that's probably what he's expecting, though, the no gas behind this. He's going to need the second Zealot quickly here, though. Need to make sure to Chrono Boost that as soon as he can. Not getting surrounded here going to be very important as well with the Zealot. Keeping it close to the probes. Nice snipe here by Hydra and some of those probes. And with the Mothership Core on the way, I mean, Lilbow is going to be safe against this momentarily here. But losing 2 probes here already. Oh! Trying to follow this around.
That is that probe that was scouting all the way on the other side of the map. Lilbow does not know. Oh, where did that Zergling come from? I didn't even see it. So, you know, Hydra does a little bit of damage with this, but I wouldn't say it's been enough to truly justify his opening.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I don't think it did enough damage. Even though 3 probes, I mean, I could have seen him get none here if Lilbow had managed a little bit better, but 3 definitely not enough. It's 17 probes to 16, well, I guess 17 to 17 now. And Lilbow is just going to be able to start a Nexus momentarily. He already has Warp Gate started. I mean, there's not going to be speed here anytime soon. And with the 2 Zealots that he has out. Behind this, he can either get a Sentry or a Stalker back at home to defend against the Lynx, and then at the same time move out with the 2 Zealots and force more Zerglings.
So I have a question to you right now, Todd, because I love this call that Lilbow is making, just dropping that Nexus on the low ground. But as a Protoss player, when do you make this call to just go for the expand this quickly yourself? Like, how can Lilbow be so sure that there is no gas behind this? Like, what if there was a speed link follow-up? And what if he suddenly has to worry about 20 speed links? He just loses the game right now, no?
Yeah, I think it's a great read that he's made, that sometimes is going to be a horrible one.
That is what happens when I do this.
I know. I've been there too.
Okay, so it's just like pure game instinct?
Yeah, I think so. Like, he knows that Hydra, like, already opening like this, it's very unlikely. Like, I mean, it's not blind, man. He's not gonna go for a gas behind this and like cheese.
Man, Hydra gets 1 more probe there, and these small things, especially when the worker count is this low, that is very nice. Lilbow only at 19 workers currently. Hydra already sitting at 26, there's a few more on the way. His speed is going to be late, and if Lilbow decides to put on some serious gateway pressure, like, he doesn't have to commit to this. All he wants to do is just keep Hydra on 2 bases, probe up yourself on the other side of the map and force Hydra to make some units and not just drones.
Yeah, this is great here. I really like that. I don't like that pylon that much, but other than that, it's really, really good. As you said, like, I think Lilbow here, he should even chrono boost out probes. Warp in Zealots across the map and chrono boost out probes back at home. And he's going to be in such an insane economic position. And then when there's finally going to be enough Zerglings to defend on his side of the map here for Hydra and maybe even Speed, he can just recall.
Yep. Yeah, that is exactly what he should be doing. Don't lose these Zealots just yet. He might be able to get a surround on his Queen over here. He prevents his Queen from stepping on creep, so that Queen is way too slow to get out of there, and one of them will get picked off immediately. That Spycraft, man, this is actually quite good. These Zealots getting a reasonable service area over here, doing a lot of damage. Has to be very careful with his Mothership Core. Lilbow takes a lot of damage, decides to drop a Time Warp, so no recall anytime soon. But this Zealot party is starting, and Hydra is not able to produce any drones right now.
Yeah, this has done so much more damage than I thought here, killing, you know, one of the Queens, quite a few Zerglings here already for Lilbow. A lot of Lings are still being produced. He's gonna try to get the Mothership Core, but I think he's gonna get away. No. And at this point, in terms of workers, it's 29 to 30. So Lilbow, he committed to aggression a lot here. He didn't make probes here in the same time that this was happening. He committed everything on the units. I think he might even have... No, actually, no, he has a lot of chrono boost saved up, so he didn't spend it on his gates, but...
I still kind of like this. Like, I mean, 32 workers against 35. Of course, the gases and additional attack for Lilbow is very late, but Hydra is a 2-base Zerg right now. No layer on the way whatsoever.
Why is he getting 1 gate, by the way? You never get 1 gate, right? They always come in sets, Roddy.
Yeah, well, 4 gates turn into 6 or 7 gate. This is some old school PvZ. I may or may not have done a couple builds like this in my days. As you know, this is a very important snipe for Hydra, because that pylon was actually extremely important. He activates Guardian Shield now. I love the start from Lilbow, but I'm not sure how I feel about this right now. These units are extremely trapped. There are a couple of drones going to help out right now. These Queens are pushing out a lot of damage. I think Lilbow is kind of overstepping his boundaries over here.
Yeah, the worker count is still even, so if you could get a few more of those drones, it'd be really nice for Lilbow. Trying to get that 1 Queen here, but it's going to be able to get away, I think.
You can get the Mothership Core with that 1 Queen. Oh my god, this is such a close little fight. Double kill!
Oh,
double KO! Alright, well, so in the end, I think this was alright for Lilbow, but it's very important for Hydra that he sniped that pylon. Because if he wouldn't have sniped the pylon, hey, he cancelled those 2 gates, by the way.
Oh,
after he lost that pylon, I think. After he realized he lost that pylon.
Clever.
Yep.
Well, even though I guess he's kind of cheap, could have just let him finish. But he started the gases on his natural, and now Lilbow is manning off 3 gases. He's going to get the Forge behind this. Wouldn't be surprised to see, you know, maybe a Robo follow this up in not too long. And then the 3rd base, and then going to the French, or the baguette PvZ as they call it.
Yeah, this is not a normal way to get where Lilbow loves to be. Obviously, this has been a very wild game because of that early pull by Hydra and the counter-aggression that sort of prompted for Lilbow. But now, in the end, you know, it's all kind of stabilized, and Lilbow is probably just going to go up to 3 bases. He had a plan to go for a 6 or 7 gate attack, but after losing that pylon, he just said, like, nope, not yet. I'm just going to play this game out. Hydra, on the other end, has a very quick burrow. I think he's worried.
Force fill it in. That could have been a lot worse, actually.
Yeah, I don't think Hydra should be dancing around with these Zerglings too much longer. He really needs to keep these Lings alive, because if he ends up losing them and doesn't get anything, then Lilbow is just going to march across the map again, and Hydra will never be able to get the drone count that he's hoping for.
Lilbow is, you know, from there, he just starts on scouting with the hallucinated phoenixes and decides what he goes into. He's going to be able to spot, you know, not just the Ro32, but the Evo as well. He's probably going to realize that, you know, it can still be a number of things, and Hydra is probably going to want to go into a standard game from there, so then it's just about going into +2 blink. He shouldn't delay his Robo too much, especially since there's burrow being made by here, by the way. If Hydra, there's still a chance he might go for a lot of roaches and tunneling claws here. But I don't think so, personally.
I actually think that he will try to do that, or at least just try to rely on roach-ling aggression, because he's only on 3 extractors. He can't really make any Hydra list right now. He doesn't have the gas for that. Lilbow can always recall, right? He should have enough energy on that Mothership Core by now. The creep threat is really good, despite the fact that this has been such a weird game, and Hydra has been under a lot of pressure. He's still been able to get a couple of creep tumors out. So I think with the roaches that are on the way, he should be fine. Yes, Burrow. Burrow's so good at this.
If he force fields the unit out earlier, he could have killed a lot of drones here, I think, Lilbow, but he didn't know.
I think it's time to recall real soon. Oh, is he actually going to try to get this hatch? There's no way right now. He shouldn't get it. He has to be very careful. You don't want to lose any sentries against such an aggressive build that Hydra is going for. So far...
But he's going to spend a lot of energy for it. Like a counter-attack. I think from this point, look at his tunneling class. Tunneling class has now started. And even though Hydra is not going to be able to produce units from that third hatchery here, he's already got quite a bit. He's got, I guess actually,
I love
pretty
those
even
cannons.
in army supply.
I love those cannons by Lilbow so much. It's going to make his life so much easier. He can also decide to knock down those cooling towers to make it a little bit easier to defend his third base. Like, he knows that this is not going to be easy because he doesn't have an observer out, but he has a cannon in his third base. He has additional cannons in his natural. He could even force field a couple of these roaches. Hydra does not know yet about these cannons, so if he picks up the ramp, it's going to be a very unpleasant surprise for those roaches. I love Lilbow's positioning, man.
I think
I really
it's pretty
do.
good. You're the first caster that I've heard use the words cooling tower, and I really like it. That's why you're the best.
Actually,
I didn't know the name of this thing for the longest time.
me neither, Todd. Just the other day, I was casting a game, and somebody's like, he's going to knock down those cooling towers. And then I clicked on it, and I was like, it's like a little nerd giggle with yourself. You know, it's like, it actually says cooling tower. It's like, now it makes sense.
I wonder if Lilbow wants to go for a timing here, because look at this. He's adding 4 more gates. He keeps on raising the stakes, man. He's got 5 here right now, so gonna go up to at least 9, lots of Blink Stalkers. And I guess a good thing you can do with this style here, with the amount of sentries that he has, is exactly what he's doing. He's scouting with a hallucinated Phoenix. He's gonna try and see what he's up against. If he sees that the Zerg takes too hard, then he's gonna do a timing. Or he might just do a timing in any case. Look at this, the amount of Stalkers and Force Fields that he has available.
I love watching this, also getting the Warp Prism so he can start wiping in a few Zealots in the main base. Even when they are slow Zealots and not that terrifying, it will force the Zerg to split up their forces. This is very, very similar to how Hearthstone likes to play as well. And just Hearthstone's games the other week in WCS against NXZ, like, it was pretty much like that. You know, like getting a lot of sentries, a lot of Blink Stalkers, always dancing around with your army, and then at the same time still causing, you know, a little bit of pressure or trouble for the Zerg with a Warp Prism and a few Zealots. This is a very tricky position for Hydra to play from. He never had the economy that he would wish for. His Hydra count is climbing though, so that's good news for Zerg, but you know, Lilbow is an expert when it comes to controlling this army in this phase in the game.
Yeah, PvZ as of late, just in general, has all been about the aggression. And you know, those sentries have been very important. Nowadays, a lot of people have good force fields, but sometimes good force fields aren't necessarily good enough. You need great force fields.
Time Warp is going to go down as well. Most of these units from Hydra are not able to engage this army. I love the whole position over there as well. Make sure that your units don't act clumsy. And he feels that he has enough. He's going to go for the
these
forward
units
blink.
in the natural, they're stuck. They can't get out. And Lilbow is just trading against the army on the right-hand side. He's going to leave the sentries at the ramp here. The counter-attack in his third base, not really going to do anything. In the meantime, just a few roaches.
Hydra almost has nothing anymore. He just has a couple of roaches, a couple of Hydralisks. A lot of drones have gone down already. Lilbow takes a commanding supply lead, and he will take game number 1 on Echo in a very convincing manner, I would say, as well. After dealing with the 9 pool early on, Hydra rolling the dice a little bit, hoping that Lilbow would go greedy and Nexus first. You know, no scout whatsoever. Nope. Lilbow playing this very safe, opening up with the gate and the gas, and from that point on, I think it's safe to say our French Protoss made almost no mistakes whatsoever.
This is still going to plan here for Hydra. He say 2-1 with if he gets lucky with build.
Well,
Lilbow did get lucky with the bar to some extent.
Pretty surprising to say the least. After that big surprise we just had in our last match where Kalazur was able to take out Snoot, we have a surprising start of this series. Will it go all the way, or will Hydra be able to get back and still win this group as many expected? We're going to take a very quick break, and after that we'll be back with game number 2 between Hydra and Lilbow.
I move objects with my mind. I climb the tallest mountains and slay dragons. I defend my galaxy from ruthless aliens. I am never bored. I am stronger. I am faster. I am G1.
Welcome back to WCS Premier League Season 2 Group E action, where we are in our 4th series of the day. We already know, well, that actually we are in the 4th series. Man, they changed it around. It used to be the 3rd series of the day, the winner bracket. Now it's the 4th series of the day. The winner of this series will advance to the WCS round of 16. That will, of course, take place in Toronto. That's going to be one of the absolute hypest events of the year. While the loser of this series will have to go up against the Brazilian Calazur, who has built up quite a bit of momentum after that last series he played, Johan.
Wow. You're all about hyping up those NA-based players, aren't you?
I mean, I love me some Diego, I'm not going to lie. But this is kind of like, I've said this, I think it was mostly off the record today when we were talking about the groups and the players, as we always do as casters. But you know, Calazur came off a pretty hot performance in Season 1. Nobody expected him to play as well as he did in the round of 32 last season. And how many times haven't we seen in StarCraft II that somebody does very well in one season and then suddenly there are expectations and then he can't live up to those expectations? That's why I think it's even more impressive what he just did. And you know, maybe the fairy tale doesn't have to end in the round of 32. Maybe the Brazilian Terran player Calazur can actually make it to the round of 16 as well. But you know, that would be one of the absolute biggest upsets of the year, guaranteed. Making it out of a group as stacked as this one.
Yeah, it's a very stacked group, yeah. With guys like Hydra, Snoot now being out, and Lilbow, who's looking pretty strong so far, man. 2-0 against Calazur, and here, very convincing performance in the first game, though. I can't help but have to mention that the build really helped.
Yeah, I love how you said it before as well. He seems so confident. Even in his winners interview in game number 1, he's like, I spotted the second factory. I knew I won.
Oh, yeah, I like that too.
He's a charismatic Protoss to follow. He's spawning on the left top side of Coda. He's, of course, our French Protoss, Lilbow.
And his opponents is trailing one game behind. He needs to bring it back. It is Roots Hydra. Hydra. A little bit nervous, man, before the game.
It's kind of funny because when you put these two players together, they're like polar opposites. You know, Lilbow very outspoken, very confident, and Hydra is always shy, always trying to give a lot of love to his opponents. You know, even if he just won a best of 7 4-0, he's like, well, first of all, I'd like to say he played really well, and this was extremely difficult. And you're watching, you're like, no, Hydra.
You're already making it worse.
yeah. We saw what you just did to the poor guy. So it's a clash of personalities as well. But Hydra's gonna have to work for this one. Coda is, I think, a better map for Zerg, though. I totally agree with what Pick said in our analysis segment in the start of the series, that Echo is the map that Lilbow has to win if he wants to win this series, and he did.
You know, like a lot of players, a lot of pro gamers, they practice mostly on ladder and don't play custom games nearly as much. I feel like it's like this for most of the pro gamers, just because like it's so easy. You just press the play game button and then you're matched up against an opponent. But more and more, we've seen a shift away from that, and more, especially top Europeans or top non-Koreans starting to play custom games rather than ladder. The guys like Bunny, guys like Snoot, and now Lilbow. I spoke with him, and I was very surprised to hear about how for this tournament here, in which he knew who were his 3 potential opponents, he practiced a lot of custom games with Minimat, French Zerg. He played a lot of games with him, and he told me, well, since he thought he was better than him, he basically let him go for double hatch before pool and play very greedy for some time, and then he still killed him later on. That's an interesting way to practice for something.
That is actually a brilliant way to practice something. I've never heard anybody say that. It's like, all right, well, it's going to be hard to find a Zerg player that's as good as Hydra to practice with, so why don't you open up with a little advantage and let me play from a disadvantaged position and see if I can turn it around. That is quite the approach, Todd. I haven't heard of it before, but he's been putting up the results. Who would you ask?
Maybe you?
God.
Well, when you cybercore finishes, I'll send my probes to the minerals.
Why did I even ask? I knew it was coming. I'm asking for this. All right. So Hydra has an overlord in the main base. He's going to spot that second assimilator. He's going to see the timing of the cybernetic score as well. He knows that everything is very standard over here on the top side of the map. Hydra has not dropped an extractor yet, correct? No, actually he has. He's mining gas.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's going to open up with speedlings over here.
Yeah, not trying to rush it though, with just one single drone being mining there. Lilbow, I fully expected, with how these openers were here in this game, I fully expected that he would go for at least, double more gates early on and maybe a forge, but like he rushed that second gas very quickly, so he's gonna delay that. I guess he knows he can afford to here in this game, and he doesn't want to be particularly aggressive early on, at least.
I'm very confused over here. He's even delaying circling speed just to get that third hatchery down a tiny bit quicker, despite the fact that he mined quite a bit of gas early on. Then he pulled off 2 out of 3 drones. Now he's opening up with burrow. No, he cancels burrow. No, he starts burrow again. What's going on, Todd?
He's having a hard time making up his mind here. I think maybe he was waiting to see what he was up against, like a scout. But
I must say, this is actually quite cool, because if we think about Lilbow's style, right? What does Lilbow delay for the longest time?
Robo.
The Robo facility. So if Lilbow wants to go up to 3 bases, but there is actually a burrowed circling over there.
I'm not sure he does it all the time, though. Like in the previous game, he did it. I think most of the time he will delay it. And the thing about burrow like this is that it's almost impossible to scout. If you check the main of Hydra, I think it's almost impossible to see that, you know, the hatchery shaking a little bit and that he's researching something. So
the only thing I'm worried about for Hydra is that he may be asking for a big attack over here. That Lilbow, if he tries to go up to 3 bases and suddenly you realize he can't because there is a burrowed circling there, that Lilbow says, all right, to heck with it, I'm going to drop 4 more gateways and I'm going to go for an all-in. And then I'm not 100% sure if Hydra is going to have enough, because now he still doesn't have circling speed, by the way. And we know how quickly Lilbow likes to go up to 3 bases. That's like at the 7-minute, 30-second mark or something like that.
The thing is, even if he skips Robo for a long time, there's one thing he usually doesn't skip for a very long time, that's the Forge. So, I mean, if he gets a cannon at the 3rd base, potentially, if he's being blocked.
But we all know how frustrating it is to like have to wait 40 seconds, you have a pylon there, and then you drop the Nexus, and you're like, okay, I must have misclicked. And then you try to drop it again, and then suddenly you really...
That's exactly, I know that.
Then you suddenly realize, like, okay, there is a burrowed circling. Do you really want to wait those additional 40, 50 seconds until your cannon finishes up? I think the moment Lilbow realizes that he can't expand, he's gonna all in.
Really misclick. It's funny because I think in our subconscious we know already what's happening. We just don't want to believe it until we're sure.
Yeah, you always hope it's like maybe it's not the worst case scenario. All right, he's gonna try it right now. He's gonna
misclick.
He's like something went wrong. Yeah. Oh damn it. All right, so he drops the pylon, and now we're gonna keep a close eye on that production tab. Will Lilbow try to do anything irrational?
Speed was completely skipped, by the way.
Yeah.
And Ro32 came in pretty late. If Lilbow had gone for something like a 4, 5, even 6 or 7 gates, I think Hydra would have just died. He would have been able to burrow lanes, which, I mean, do nothing for him.
I really like the burrowed circling at the bottom of this ramp as well, because it will always give Hydra the idea where this army is heading towards. Like, is it actually... You know what Lilbow could do is drop this Nexus, but then actually don't make probes anymore. But we see he's already on 52 probes, so that is not going to be the case. But that's something that the Axiom and Protoss Alicia used to do all the time. He always gave you the idea you want
Arthur,
to go for...
man.
Yeah, Arthur as
44.
well. Yeah. It's like
magic number.
3 bases, but no workers. It's like, all right, I know how many gateways are going to be thrown down right now. Hey, he's making a second roach one. Do you think this is on purpose? No, right?
Yeah, I mean, he already has burrow. If he gets Tunneling Claw quickly here, he can play very aggressive. On this map, it can be very difficult to defend between the natural and 3rd base. You need to stay up those ramps, split those sentries, and he canceled Tunneling Claws.
He started and then he cancelled. I think he just because he wanted some extra units, and I think then he's gonna start it again. But if you look at roach speed, like roach speed is only like 25 seconds away from finishing. Is it really worth getting a roach warrant for those 25 seconds? Maybe it's questionable.
Well, we'll see. I guess we'll get that answer when he attacks.
If he wipes out the entire mineral line with burrowed roaches, it's like, well, we've got our answer. But Lilbow is anticipating on this thought. Look at the amount of cannons. Again, he's throwing up. And I really love this. This makes your life so much easier as a Protoss player.
I really like this hallucinated Phoenix following the roaches. It's like, don't attack me. I can see you, man. And right now, Hydra is going to have to wait for more units. +1 missile will complete here momentarily, but Tunneling Claws is still a whole minute away from finishing, so I mean, he needs to wait for that.
It's a big commitment to Hydra, to roaches over here by Hydra. He has a lot of roaches. Defensive force fields will go down immediately. Burrow being used as well. The robotics facility is done, but the first observer is not out just yet.
He already knows that there is Burrow. You know what could be really good here for Lilbow is if he closed this natural. You know, between those 2 pylons, he made a pylon, so units can't get in. Because he already has 3 cannons there. And at the 3rd base, he has a lot of sentries to force field one first time, then pull back, force field again, maybe throw down a whole bunch of cannons. And with the photon of a charge, maybe have a nice hold.
He unpowers 2 of these gateways. That's nice for Hydra, but I still feel with the amount of roaches that he made, he needs to do some real damage. He needs to take out sentries. He needs to take out Zerglings as well. And I feel this is that moment he's going to try. Photon Overcharge being casted as well. Tunnel and Claws being used over here. All of these roaches are going to unburrow on top of these sentries. Oh, sentries stacking the rocks there for a second. Drops the panic force field. But, okay, well, so many sentries are extremely exposed right now, Johan.
Yeah, and Immortal came out. Well, actually, no, yeah, comes out just now, the third base here, but is it on time? The entire army of Lilbow is just evaporating at this point. This just happened before +2 finished as well. He had Blink, but when there is a ratio of 8 roaches for 1 Stalker, it doesn't really matter.
Those 25 seconds actually made the difference, I think. Like, well, the Hydra just gave us the answer. Was it worth it? Slightly quicker tunneling claws? I think it was. Snipes the robotics facility over here. He's going to pick up that cannon as well. There's just almost no more DPS over here for our French Protoss player Lilbow, who's trying to hang in, trying to stabilize, but losing 11, 12, 14 probes over there, and will most likely end up losing this Nexus, and with that he's probably going to lose the game as well. This is WCS. You never want to quit early. You always want to believe that you can come back into this game, but I think right now Todd, with 55 supply, he knows.
Yeah, I don't think there's any recovery possible here for Lilbow, who's trying to remake gateways here in his wall. Already has an observer out, but I mean, if you look at the supply,
yeah, 2
more
against
than 100. Yes, I just did math on stream.
I mean, it's 2 against 3 bases. Sometimes you still believe, like, okay, he made so many units, and yes, he did kill my base, but it's only roaches. But let's not forget, he also lost the robotics facility. So the one unit that is the best against roaches, the Immortal, that's not accessible right now for Lilbow. And I think the game is just going to end over here. A few Hydras have streamed across the map as well. Sniping that mothership core, the SimCity is kind of cute, but like you said, when the ratio is 8-1, Todd, it doesn't really matter how good your SimCity is, how good your blinks are, as Hydra evens up the series, 1 apiece.
Very good choice, I guess, in the end of going, you know, for that Zergling burrow. It's funny because, like, I never feel like it's just such a massive deal, but here in this game, like, you know, it really felt like, as you say, like, super annoying. Delayed the third base a lot, and then from there, everything is just a lot more delayed. You know, that 40 seconds later is the time you finally get that big boost in your economy, and then your production starts completely exploding. In terms of sentries, I mean, if there hadn't been tunneling claws, this is almost an easy hold. But with tunneling claws, it changes everything. You know, cannons, they don't do that much against roaches. You need immortals. There wasn't a single one made, and in the end, even +2 didn't complete on time.
You know what?
I wonder if he could have held in any way. Like, what do you think he could have done better?
Maybe if the robotics facility was in a different position, like maybe if he didn't drop it at third, but if he dropped it in the natural instead, like if he has like 1 or 2 zealots there with those 3 cannons. But then, of course, there is always a chance that Hydra just completely ignores the natural and goes for the third base instead. You know what I like most about that game, looking at it from Hydra's point of view, Todd, is that I feel that this is a build that's dedicated to dealing with the style that Lilbow likes to bring to the show.
Yeah.
I feel that this is not something that Hydra would have done against, let's say, you know, Parting or any other Protoss out there that he faces often at these big tournaments. It really feels to me that Hydra has done his homework, and I think that's very awesome, because how many times haven't we seen, you know, top Koreans being surprised by a style of a foreigner just because they're completely unfamiliar with them? I feel that the opposite is happening over here. Hydra is taking his opponents very serious, and he's done his homework.
I think the one thing that Lilbow could have done to spot that this was coming, obviously, you know, seeing the burrow being researched onto hatch is not really possible. I think it's too difficult.
It's so hard.
Like maybe Rain would be able to do that, but that is the only one.
I love how you said Rain.
Yeah, I mean, but Speed never started. The Zerg mined a bunch of guys and Speed never started. So if Lilbow had paid attention to his hallucinated Phoenix when he scouted all 3 bases, and he saw that Speed didn't start, he saw that the Lynx didn't have wings and they weren't very fast, well, he would have been able to understand that burrow was made, and then from there, he would have been able to react a little bit faster with planting down the pylon at that third base, since there is no speed and he needs to remove that burrowed Zergling there.
But I mean, that's absolutely one of these things that we as an observer, when we see absolutely everything, then those are calls we could make. But if you're playing this game, I mean, it's one of these things, if it happens once to you, then it will always be in the back of your mind. But
for some time. After 2 months, it's gone, and then it happens again.
That's true. But I truly think that this just caught him by surprise. Very nice build by Hydra, a very nice idea behind it, even with the tunnel and claws as a follow-up. And Lilbow, he's going to have to bring something different. Game number 3 is going to be played on Expedition Lost. I would say a map where we've seen a lot of very wild builds lately.
Yeah, a lot of two-base timing from Protoss in particular, with the Immortals at times. Sometimes the Blink Stalkers. Are we gonna see a gold base, maybe?
Are we going to see Proxy Hatchery working on those rocks?
Oh,
It's something we've
it's gonna
seen.
feel out of fashion, I feel. But
Yeah.
gold base from Hydra is what I expect here.
Over here on the right top side of Expedition Lost, we've got a French Protoss player representing Millennium. It is Lilbow.
And his opponents, starting on the bottom left-hand side, playing for Team Root Gaming. Root for Roots, it's Hydra. Had a very nice game plan in the previous game with the Burrowed Zergling, and then went straight into Tunneling Klaus with the second Ro32. Very good execution. I wonder though, why did he cancel the Tunneling Klaus the first time he started it?
I think he wanted to get a few more roaches out because I
Yeah,
think...
but why? Like, you can make them later. Getting to Tunneling Klaus quicker is more important.
Yeah, I think
maybe
he,
it was Overlords or something.
No, I think he truly panicked. I think for a split second he thought that Lilbow didn't want to go up to 3 bases anymore and was just about to 8-gate him. And then he felt like, okay, every second right now I can get a few extra roaches out. It truly matters. I think that was the idea behind it.
So when if it gets 8-gate, you let Tunneling Klaus, get close to completion before you die. You stay the course, man. Artosis won't say it. The captain goes down with his chip.
Well, I do agree with your prediction that we probably will see a gold base here, but I must say he's sending out the drone very late. It seems like Hydra is actually going to take the expand just in his natural, and that surprises me a little bit because I would almost say the last 3 or 4 ZVPs I've seen from Hydra, he takes the gold and Expedition Lost.
Lilbow, though, on this kind of map, if there is some good cheeses that you can do, usually he's the guy that's, really likes to do them and executes them very, very well. I remember there was a few maps where the third base was very far away from the main and natural, and almost every time on this kind of map he went for 7-gate and won almost every single time because his execution was ridiculous.
I love how Hydra sent that drone to the north side of his base. He's like, please don't tell me this guy built 2 gateways in my base. Like, I went hatch first over here. Don't do that to me. Fortunately for Hydra, that did not happen. There were no gateways in his base. Lilbow is opening up very standard on the other side of the map. He's going to throw down his Nexus 3 minutes and 10 seconds into the game. Of course, this means that he delayed his Cybercore a little bit, but it's going to benefit his economy in the long run.
I really like this opener actually by Lilbow. Like, you get a gateway, you scout, you get a gas, and then I guess if your opponent's playing aggressive with links early on and really any kind of aggression, you
can
or maybe
still
too
deal with
greedy, you can get the Zealots, then you can get maybe a Stalker, a Mothership Core. Whereas if he's playing with a hatch first or greedy, you just plant down a Nexus and then you go and start mining from the assimilator.
Yep, this is like kind of a set opening for Lilbow, but they can execute in so many different ways depending on what he scouts on the other side of the map. So it's a very solid style. If you're struggling in your PvZ and you don't really know how to react to certain scenarios, like a build like this, you will always have information, and if nothing crazy is happening, you still have a pretty damn good economic opening. Sorry?
It's gonna be Burrow speed. Because he mined Hydra mined 100 gas here already. I think he's waiting maybe to see a little bit. I mean, he saw already all there is to see here already. See the Cybercore. The gateway actually going to be seeing a Stalker here. So Lilbow, I think he wants to be a little bit aggressive. Maybe the 2 more gates, thinking that because he didn't see a gas. Lilbow never saw the gas of Hydra.
True, he left very early though. I was actually paying attention to that as well, but he left very early.
Oh wow! If Lilbow goes on the aggression here with 1 or 2 Stalker and then 2 more gates, but I guess since he wants for double gas, it's less likely that he's going to do that. Actually, he starts a second Stalker.
Yeah, and he is still chrono boosting out warp gate technology. I do agree that I'm a little bit surprised that he's doing this with 2 assimilators fully saturated, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible for him to put on some serious gateway aggression. Like, it could be 3 gateway aggression, which he could still transition out of. I mean, Hydra is doing the exact same build. This is what he did on Coda, but this time, if Lilbow decides to be aggressive, like you said, no Zergling speed, it's gonna be pretty damn difficult. If the Stalker count goes up to, let's say, 4 or 5, 4 gateways as well, he has dropped an extra gateway in his main. I love this by Lilbow. I really do. I think this is a brilliant move.
On this map, there is some pretty sneaky places. You can drop down a pylon too here around those gold minerals in middle. But Lilbow, he wants to get as close as possible to that third base here.
Okay, he has to really keep that probe and pylon hidden. He can't afford to lose that.
He made it in vision of the watchtower.
I don't like that very much, Todd. I don't like
know,
it at all. This isn't looking all that good for Lilbow right now.
The Roddy soundboard. It's alive.
I mean, like, it's not the end of his aggression just yet, but this just makes it so much more possible for for Hydra to defend against is a lot of slow Zerglings are on the way. Zergling speed is on the way. The Roach Warren is going down. Hydra realizes that this is not just a little bit of pressure. This is something he has to take very, very serious. But I think he will. That creep tumor is going to help out tremendously, by the way.
Lilbow's not looking in his natural. He's getting wrecked by some Zerglings there. He's going to warp in 1-0 and start attacking with the probes, but he's already lost 2. I like that he went for the Queens at first, but I think going towards the third base now would be better here at this point for Lilbow. He needs to warp in Zealots because there is a lot of links being made.
Yep. No perfect stutter stuttering over there. He is taking quite a bit of damage on one of these Stalker.
Again!
Oh my god.
Okay, finally he's going to clean them. No, that last guy!
Okay, well, the random force field does go down, but it actually helps quite a bit, reducing the surface area that Zerglings can work on these Stalkers. But that Spinecrawler is going to do a little bit of damage. Will get sniped as well. But that one creep tumor, Johan, I tried to mention it. I think that creep tumor is so damn important for Hydra.
Yeah, and a lot of links are actually about to come out here. Speed will finish. Okay. Hydra very nicely burrowed the Zergling in the natural of Lilbow, by the way, earlier. That's why he stopped attacking. But now he unburrowed it. Finally, Zerg's gonna get killed.
Oh, there's only one Zealot in the mix. Lilbow desperately needs a couple of Zealots to keep these Stalkers alive. I actually think he's doing a really good job though. Look at the supply, 62 supply against 52. There is a single Spinecrawler there.
The Walker count, 38 probes to 29 drones. So at this point,
he can just keep on the aggression, maybe snipe the third base and then back off. He doesn't have to break Hydra in his natural, but he's going to try. It ends up losing one Stalker there. It's very hard to attack up a ramp, especially after losing the Mothership Core. There is no more high ground vision. If I was Lilbow, I would try to take out this hatchery and then just slowly but steady walk my way home. But losing the Mothership Core makes it very difficult. If he loses these pylons, the army is trapped. He can't reinforce anymore, so he needs to protect these pylons. But I think he's doing a phenomenal job. I think our French Protoss is slowly but steady might actually be doing this stuff.
Yeah, Hydra may be overextending. 2 Zealots are actually trapped in the middle of those Stalkers and Sentries here. They cannot attack for the longest time, but it doesn't matter. Lilbow has too much. He's reinforcing right in the fight. And GG, the French player will advance on to the round of 16 after beating the runner-up of last season.
A day of upsets it has been already. Lilbow, you can definitely see a big sigh of relief over there. Wins Group E after defeating Hydra 2-1. Hydra with some great mind games in game number 2, but Lilbow saying, I'm not falling for the same trick twice. You know, fool me once. No, I'm not going to go there. But that was a great build by Lilbow. It was not flawless execution. Building the pylon in range of the Zelnaga Watchtower, I think, like, triggered the alarm bells a lot quicker for Hydra. But in the end, it was good enough. And you could definitely see things getting hectic as well with those Zerglings in the natural.
Maybe it was a bait, because the Lynx went there and then he killed them. He had it all planned.
It's a risky bait though, because that was a big commitment.
We're not smart enough to understand what happened.
That's true. There's always a reason why we're sitting over here at the desk, and Lilbow is still out there winning WCS points, winning a lot of prize money, and securing his slot for WCS round of 16 that of course will be played in Toronto. Our French Protoss winning this group, Todd. I think that comes to a surprise to many. I mean, we all know his PvZ is good. It's been praised for a long time in the European scene, but winning a group which had Snoot in it, which had Hydra in it, that is very, very impressive.
Yeah, especially like the way he did it, really. Played some fantastic games, and I can't wait to see how well he does in the next round. But first, we're going to have a last match later on, which also is going to be a good one between Kelazur and Hydra. The root kill, man. Katz is crying tears right now.
Definitely, man. For now, I want to hear from the man himself that just advanced, that just won Group E, Lilbow, as he's standing at the analysis desk with Pig and Sean.
Thank you, Roddy. Lilbow's here. You are first place in Group E. You're going to Canada. You're going to Toronto. You've just beat the Season 1 finalists on stage. What is going through your mind at this moment? That's a massive win. Congratulations.
I just feel very happy. I feel like I have accomplished something really huge. Like, I didn't expect to finish first of my group, and I was not even sure to finish my group at all. So I'm just very happy, and I can't wait to go to Toronto.
Yeah, well, congratulations. That's a massive moment in your career. I mean, you got top 16 at DreamHack recently, came into this. Now you're top 16 again at another tournament, and you're going to go playing in Canada. You know, let's just talk a little bit about the match versus Hydra before it happened. You're going up on stage there. You know you're playing against a difficult opponent. were you secretly confident that you could beat this guy? Like, you talked to us before that you were good against Protoss versus Zerg. How were your thoughts at this point?
I was just not sure because I was not sure about his level since the Swarmhost are not usable anymore. So I didn't see a lot of games from him, so I knew he was good. But I practiced a lot in PvZ, and I knew he played a lot of Roach Hydra, and I practiced a lot again for Roach Hydra. So I was like fairly confident, but still really not sure about what was going to happen.
3 out of 3 Millennium. You've also 2 out of 2 France here. We've got you and Marine Lord now going forward to that. How does that, feel for you guys over in France? This must be a massive moment for France. I mean, O Gaming and so on are doing very well in StarCraft II viewership. You guys now have got 2 players that are going to Canada. Big moment for France. Yeah, France esports is going very well. Like, we had a lot of tournaments, nation wars and stuff, and every time it was really a good experience. And O Gaming is doing well at this tournament, so yeah. All right, congratulations. What we're going to do now, though, is Pig is going to walk you through map number 1, because this is a map that really stood out for us, that you played really well in, and Pig is going to highlight some of those moments, and hopefully you can give us some insight on what you thought as we go through this.
So we are going to get that first replay up here on screen. First of all, I just wanted to take a look. Obviously, a 9 pool happened very early. You handled it very well. You did some nice counter pressure. But here we have a really nice moment where you're coming in and you are going to come in with a very decisive counterattack. What were you thinking here, committing to this very nice pressure?
Well, when I saw the first 9 pool, I was like, okay, I will win, because like you really fall far behind. If you 9 pool, you doesn't kill anything. And when I arrived with this push, I saw no third base, so I was a bit anxious. But I knew he was late, so I still tried to push, and it worked well.
It was really, really nice move there. It kind of helped you move through that game. And we are going to take a look a little bit later in the replay in just a moment about, I think it was just this decisive sort of motion which really impressed me with this game. Here, going in there right into the spine, stopping that finishing building, but also later on, you were pushing in against Hydralisks, and you really made use of this defensive area in the middle of the base. Do you feel like you had an advantage there and you wanted to finish the game right away? What were you feeling at this moment as we watch this last engagement?
Well, I have a small advantage, and this small advantage allow me to take this position. This position is actually very good because the Zergs can't really move like you want. Like, I'm here, but I could move on the right and time warp the ramp and take a good fight. So if he is already down there, he cannot take a good fight anymore if I doesn't fail.
Beautiful force fields on the left ramp there. I was upstairs watching it with Funker, and we kind of just had a huge smile on our faces because, I've been there as the Zerg and I always get really upset, but it was just so well executed and so decisive from you. So very well played, and congratulations.
Thanks.
All right, thank you very much, Pig, and congratulations once again, Lilbow. One final question then before we move on to the next game. You're 19 years old, coming up to 20 very soon, recently joined Millennium in December last year. What do you credit your success to? Why top 16 DreamHack? Why top 16 in this? What has been going so well for you in the last 6 months?
I think it's about practice, but just don't chain ladder and doesn't think about it too much. Like you really need to, when you lose, you have to find why you lose. Like you find the principal reason why you lose, and you try to fix it on the next game. And I think it's more about that than just playing a lot of games.
All right, well, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our first place finisher from Group E.
Thank you.
We'll be playing live in Toronto, Canada, come June the 26th and June the 28th. Let's take a look at the bracket to update you what's going on and get ready for our final match of the evening. It is going to be Hydra, the Season 1 finalist, going up against the Brazilian in a game that decides second place and decides going back with a very, very long ride home. We'll be right back with that 5th game.
I move objects